Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a very interesting combination to try out. It's one that I've got some really good hopes for. We've tested other variations of this shell with some devastating results, so I definitely have high hopes for it to perform very nicely, but we haven't done a lot of testing with these particular chokes, so we'll see what we get when we put the two of them together. But for the shells I've got today, I brought out some more of the Winchester Longbeard XR loads, but these ones are the 12 gauge 3.5 inch 2-ounce payload of 5s, moving about 1,200 feet per second. We've tested our fair share of Longbeard shells, and we've tested the 3.5 inch version in both 4s and 6s, but we've never tested the 3.5 inch 5s. The 4s and 6s are devastating, so I expect the same out of these, but I've heard some kind of flighty things about some of the brand new Longbeard shells coming out and how inconsistent they are, so I guess we'll see if we've got a good box here or not. But in theory, at least, they should pattern very well, although they are definitely pretty hot on the shoulder to handle, that's for sure. As for the setup we're running them in, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. It's got a 28 inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running a Rectifier choke today. This is the Rectifire Cyclone, which is their little bit cheaper, kind of mid-price range choke. It's a 680 constriction, which is right down there in that typical turkey choke range for an 835. If you don't know, the 835s are overbored to a 10 gauge bore diameter inside, so the chokes follow 10 gauge numbers, and a 680 is most definitely right down there in the typical turkey choke range. So in theory, we've got a good combo here, but we haven't tested a ton of these Rectifier chokes. So we'll see if they perform well with these Longbeards, if we've got a good box of Longbeards as well. As for today's test, we're running it the same as we usually do. I've got the turkey target set up at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll take our shot and we'll see what we get. I've got good hopes for this combo if it works out the way that I think it should, but we'll take our shot and see what happens. Okay, that shell gave us 1349 through the chrono. Boss claim is only 1200. We do have a 28 inch barrel with a little bit of choke out the end, and it is overboard as well. That can play with velocity sometimes, but it's not entirely unusual either to see above boss claim with Longbeard shells, based on my testing anyway. So I don't think we're too out of the realm of reality here, although it is starting to get up and move on out for a lead number 5. Obviously, that's plenty enough velocity, and they're a very stout shell on the shoulder. So let's go check out our pattern and see how they perform downrange. Alright, so here's our 40-yard paper, and we see some nasty looking results down here, that's for sure. Obviously, we were a touch low and a touch left. Could have maybe been me, or it could have been a little bit of the shell and choke combo just favoring a little bit low left as well. I do plan on putting some kind of a red dot on that shotgun as we test it this spring for turkey patterns to hopefully mitigate this a little bit, but that's why we use the target backers so we can actually see our entire pattern. We've got a nice, tight, hot core there, that's for sure. That's a lot of pellets right through about a 10 to 12 inch circle, right where you want them to be. There's not going to be a turkey that's ever going to make it through that kind of pattern at 40 yards. And with them being a lead 5 and you having that kind of pattern, that's a 50 to 55 yard performer all day long. And you may be able to push it a little farther than that as well, depending on how much energy you want to risk losing out at longer ranges. So moving in here, looking at our core, lot of pellets in there, but I do see one void right off the left edge of that paper, almost right in the middle of the core area. There is a little bit of a void. It's probably about 2.5 to 3 inches across. Nothing major. It's not big enough for a turkey to get through, but it is there. The rest of the core looks very nice and very even. Once we get outside of that initial 10 to 12 inches, we definitely string some out, that's for sure. We've got some kind of flung up around that turkey's head, and kind of the same down there off the bottom. Little bit of stringy stuff around the edges. And we threw some flyers over here to the right as well. Definitely some way out, kind of in no man's land compared to where the rest of the pattern is. But that's not unusual for a lead turkey load in general to throw flyers like that. So nothing major to be concerned with there, but that is still a devastating turkey pattern for sure. Now, I think we still can get better from it. We have seen multiple patterns from 3.5 inch Longbeard shells that are tighter than that and have an even hotter core area. So I think we can still get better from these, that's for sure. If we find the right choke combo for them, even if it already is a nasty pattern, I think we can get it even better. At least maybe we can tune in some of those flyers and edges a little bit better. Now, do you need a 3.5 inch shell in a 12 gauge for turkeys. Definitely not. You don't need to pay the extra cost. You don't need to deal with the extra recoil, and you really don't need the extra pellets either. If you've got a good patterning 3-inch load, you're going to be just fine. But I know there's plenty of guys out there that want to run the biggest, baddest shell they can, and if they're looking at lead turkey loads, a 3.5-inch Longbeard would be that shell. And I mean, you can clearly see there, that's a field load all day long. Set your decoys up at 35 or 40 yards and let them come across a field, and you're still going to be able to hammer them. So that was about what I was hoping to see. Might be a little bit inconsistent, that one little void in the core and the flyers around the edges, but it's by no means a bad turkey pattern whatsoever. I'll take that out any day of the week, even if I don't really want to subject myself to 3.5-inch shell recoil and cost. So really nice performance today, and hopefully we've got a good box of Longbeards, since these new ones have been a little bit on and off from what I've heard. And here's the wad from that shell. Very typical Longbeard type stuff. 3.5-inch ones are a little longer and they are red in color, but they're still loaded the same way. You can see that buffer material down in there. It's almost like glass, but it's essentially a very hard wax type material. And when you fire the shot, it kind of breaks apart a little bit into that powdery dust. Pretty interesting, but it works for sure. As far as the wad goes though, no major damage at all. Looks very good. One petal opened a little farther than the rest. That could have been a little bit of the reason why we favored low left, but overall, nothing I'm concerned with here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that result right there? That's a nasty turkey pattern for sure. A 3.5-inch shell with 2 ounces of lead 5s, if you're getting that kind of pattern, that's a 40-yard plus type of performer. It's gonna be pretty tight in there at 20 or 25 yards. So you better have some sort of good red dot system or have a really good idea of where your bead hits and be pretty steady when you take that shot, or else you may run a chance of missing a bird at 20 yards or so. So that's kind of what I was hoping to see. Nice, tight, hot pattern, but it's not perfect either. Is that the shell having a little bit of inconsistency in it? Maybe, but I think it's more so to do with that choke. We've done a little bit of testing with rectifier stuff, but not a ton, so I want to do more testing with those chokes and see what they can really do. And we're off to a very solid start here today, but I definitely think we can do a little bit better with those 3.5-inch 5s as well. It's just going to take some more testing. I've got a good variety of chokes we can run them through, and we'll find something that really performs well, I'm sure. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these new 3.5-inch Longbeard loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combo you would hunt with? Or are you kind of like me where 3.5-inch cost and recoil just really isn't worth it with the shells that we've got available to us today? Or is a shell combo like that right up your alley? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see me try with either those 3.5-inch 5s or that Rectifire 680? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.